Welcome back. In this video we're going to work on the patterns and textures of the windows and other things that are on our buildings in our cityscape. So remember, we're cutting the cityscape off. The bottoms of the buildings are down here. In this drawing I did put the doors and windows in, but I wanted to change that so it does look more like the top of a cityscape. So here is where we left off with our outlines. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to think about pattern and texture and how the windows might, be involved in the design. What I'm going to do is you can choose any patterns, any shapes for your windows, just so long as they kind of follow the form of the building. So here we go. I'm going to start with long rectangles like this, and remember, we are going to be painting this in, so try to keep that in mind as you work. You're not making things that are going to be too incredibly impossible to paint in once we get to that stage. So try your best to be thoughtful in that regard, and try to be neat with your drawing so that you don't have to go back and do too much erasing when you're done. We are going to use Sharpie to outline it, as I did in my other drawing. So you'll have the opportunity to erase if you mess up, but try to stay fairly accurate with your original drawing so you've got a good idea. And of course, as we looked at the architecture examples, most buildings, not all, of course, I can't make that big of a generalization, but most buildings do have some sort of visual balance, whether it's asymmetrical balance or it's symmetrical balance. Usually they do, unless it's some crazy funky art museum like the Walker in Minneapolis that's very asymmetrically balanced and doesn't really have a balance point, so to speak. But of course it's the Modern Art Museum, so they did that on purpose to make a visual statement. Whereas most office buildings or downtown skyscrapers, whether they have big windows, little windows, horizontal windows, round windows, whatever it is, usually there's going to be some visual balance in there. So you get the idea. At this point, we'll fast forward the video so you can see the rest of the textures kind of show up, and we'll talk right at the end about what you should be including in your buildings. Okay, so there we go. There's my finished drawing. Notice again that I've kind of tried to match the sizes of the windows so they're smaller, they look far away. I've tried to organize them so they're in a nice vertical row, horizontal row. I've got some of the same windows repeating. I've got new windows that follow the outside form and shape of the building. Most of them are pretty regular, but there's a lot of visual difference there as well. Okay, in the next video we'll just make sure we Sharpie it so that once we get to our watercolor it looks really nice, and we'll make sure that all of that is done before we get to our ceramics so that we have a nice template to work from for our ceramics project that will look something like that.